gathered here to know about advanced project formulation of Rani Kamlapati railway station, Bhopal. It's our honor that the engineer Mohammad Abu Asif, project director, Bansal Pathway Hawi Branch Private Limited, engineer Alok Shukla, technical head, Architect, engineer Vikram Saxena, president, Council of Consulting Civil Engineers, Dr. Ashok Jain, chairman of ICI Bhopal, architect Subrashu Upadhyay, president IIA Bhopal, are with us. It's my privilege and presence of profile today's keynote speaker, engineer Mohammad Abu Asif. The achievements of Abu Asif sir are tremendous. He has done his qualifications from NIT Warangal. From 91 to 94, he worked with Associated Civil Engineering Services Bhopal as a structural designer. 94 to 97, he was with SAPI Constructions as a project manager. 97 to 2006, he was associated with Technocrate Consultant Bhopal. 2007 to 11, he was general manager to KIC Private Limited Bhopal. From 2011 to 2016, he worked with Credible Engineering Construction Projects Hyderabad as a zonal head. 2016 onwards, he is as a present, he is with Bansal Pathway Hawi Branch Private Limited as a project director. During this period, he has done a tremendous work. Out of which some are construction of manufacturing unit at Crompton Breeze, Manihi, Global Switzerland Hydro Project at Faridabad, pre-engineering building structures with Western Tobacco Limited, PV with Omega Rank Bearings, manufacture of unit with Coca-Cola Field Utility, 12 megawatt PG power stations at Anand Spinning Mills. He has worked with Reliance Fresh, Haryana, IIM Building Gwalior, AIMS Housing Complex at Bhopal, Volvo Commercial Vehicle Plants at Devas and so on. And presently he is working on a beautiful project. We are all of us watching Rani Kamlapati railway station. So we have a very good project formulation, project management and key work. On behalf of Architect, Council of Consulting Civil Engineers, ICI and IIA, we welcome you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, all the dignitaries, all the professionals, teachers, professors, architects, engineers. It is an honor and privilege to be here in front of you to share my experiences with the development of Rani Kamlapati railway station. When I was asked to make this presentation or share my experience, I was in a dilemma. How to go about it basically, because we have worked for almost 4 years, day in, day out on this project. And for me it is bit difficult to assimilate all those experiences, all those challenges which we have, experienced, which we have learned through this project. Because for me also it is a very big learning experience. And for railways also it is basically a pilot project under PPP model, and for the first time in history of Indian Railways, any railway station has been redevelopment in an integrated mode. Integrated mode as in, here we have developed everything. We upgraded platforms, we upgraded helping our platforms, we have created new terminal buildings, and we have redone the entire foot overbridge in form of air concourse. So when I was asked to make a presentation or share my experience here, and the time was a constraint basically. So because for last 4.5 months I have been traveling a lot, except for Saturdays and Sundays. But then so many presentations we have made to various officers, rail minister, GMs, GRMs, that I have got a fair data of all those. I have tried to make an average version of that. So we'll start with the achievements basically. 3 videos will be playing. then brief presentation about what changes we have made, what were the challenges, and then we'll come to the project formulation part of it. What was required from our end, developers end, and what was required from the nodal agencies end, that has, put forward the documentation for bidding purpose. And what we should keep in mind while formulating a project. So we'll discuss that at the end stage. Initially we'll start with the videographies of the, because various agencies have created beautiful videos with information that will save a lot of time in understanding this project. So we'll start with a few videos here. The first video shall showcase the ideas and the comments of the Honorable Prime Minister when he dedicated this project to the nation basically, and what is his vision for future redevelopments of railway station.
भविष्य कितना आधुनिक है, कितना उज्जवल है, इसका प्रतिबिंब भोपाल के इस भव्य रेलवे स्टेशन में जो भी आएगा उसे दिखाई देगा। भोपाल के इस ऐतिहासिक रेलवे स्टेशन का सिर्फ कायाकल्प ही नहीं हुआ है, बल्कि किन्नौरगढ़ की रानी कमलापति जी का इससे नाम जुड़ने से इसका महत्व भी और बढ़ गया। गोंडवाना के गौरव से आज भारतीय रेल का गौरव भी जुड़ गया। भारत कैसे बदल रहा, सपने कैसे सच हो सकते हैं, ये देखना हो तो आज इसका एक उत्तम उदाहरण भारतीय रेलवे भी बन रहा है। 6 साल पहले तक जिसका भी पाला भारतीय रेल से पड़ता था, वो भारतीय रेल को ही कोसते हुए, हमेशा कुछ न कुछ बोलते हुए ज्यादा नजर आता। स्टेशन पर भीड़भाड़, गंदगी, ट्रेन के इंतजार में घंटों की टेंशन, स्टेशन पर बैठने की, खाने पीने की असुविधा, ट्रेन के भीतर भी गंदगी, सुरक्षा की भी चिंता। आपने देखा होगा लोग बैग के साथ चेन लेकर के आते थे, ताला लगाते, दुर्घटना का डर, ये सब कुछ यानी रेलवे बोलते ही सब ऐसा ही ध्यान में आता, मन में यही छवि उभर करके आती। लेकिन स्थिति यहां तक पहुंच गई थी कि लोगों ने स्थितियों के बदलने की उम्मीद तक छोड़ दी थी। लोग मान लिया चलो भाई ऐसे ही गुजारा करो तो ऐसे ही चलने वाला। लेकिन जब देश ईमानदारी से संकल्पों की सिद्धि के लिए जुड़ता है तो सुधार आता ही आता है, परिवर्तन होता ही होता है। ये हम बीते सालों से निरंतर देख रहे हैं। साथियों, देश के सामान्य मानवी को आधुनिक अनुभव देने का जो पीड़ा हमने उठाया है, इसके लिए जो परिश्रम दिन रात किया जा रहा है, उसके परिणाम अब दिखाई देने लगे हैं। महीने पहले गुजरात में गांधीनगर रेलवे स्टेशन का नया अवतार देश और दुनिया ने देखा। आज मध्य प्रदेश में भोपाल में रानी कमलापति रेलवे स्टेशन के रूप में देश का पहला ISO सर्टिफाइड, देश का पहला PPP मॉडल आधारित रेलवे स्टेशन देश को समर्पित किया गया है। जो सुविधाएं कभी एयरपोर्ट में मिला करती थी वो आज रेलवे स्टेशन में मिल रही है। आधुनिक टॉयलेट, बेहतरीन खाना पीना, शॉपिंग कॉम्प्लेक्स, होटल, म्यूजियम, गेमिंग जोन, हॉस्पिटल, मॉल, स्मार्ट पार्किंग, ऐसी हर सुविधा यहां विकसित की जा रही है। इसमें भारतीय रेलवे का पहला सेंट्रल एयर कॉन्कोर्स बनाया गया। इस कॉन्कोर्स में सैकड़ों यात्री एक साथ बैठकर ट्रेन का इंतजार कर सकते हैं। और खास बात ये भी है कि सारे प्लेटफॉर्म इस कॉन्कोर्स से जुड़े हुए हैं, इसलिए यात्रियों को अनावश्यक भागदौड़ करने की जरूरत नहीं होगी। भाइयों बहनों, ऐसे ही इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की, ऐसी ही सुविधाओं की देश के सामान्य टैक्स पेयर को, देश के मध्यम वर्ग को हमेशा उम्मीद रही है। यही टैक्स पेयर का असली सम्मान है। VIP कल्चर से EPI यानी एवरी पर्सन इज इंपॉर्टेंट, EPI की तरफ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन का यही मॉडल है। रेलवे स्टेशन के पूरे इकोसिस्टम को इसी प्रकार ट्रांसफॉर्म करने के लिए आज देश के 250 से अधिक रेलवे स्टेशनों का कायाकल्प किया जा रहा है। रेलवे स्टेशन के रीडेवलपमेंट का यह अभियान भी सिर्फ स्टेशन की सुविधाओं तक सीमित नहीं है, बल्कि इस तरह का निर्माण गति शक्ति नेशनल मास्टर प्लान का भी हिस्सा है। कि आजादी के अमृत काल में ऐसे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के निर्माण का अभियान है जो देश के विकास को अभूतपूर्व गति दे सके। ये गति शक्ति मल्टी मॉडल कनेक्टिविटी की है, एक होलिस्टिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की है। अब जैसे रानी कमलापति रेलवे स्टेशन को अप्रोच रोड से जोड़ा गया, जहां बड़ी संख्या में पार्किंग की सुविधा बनाई गई। भोपाल मेट्रो से भी इसकी कनेक्टिविटी सुनिश्चित की जा रही है। बस मोड़ के साथ रेलवे स्टेशन के एकीकरण के लिए स्टेशन के दोनों तरफ से BRTS लेन की सुविधा है, यानी ट्रैवल हो या लॉजिस्टिक, सब कुछ सरल हो, सहज हो, सीमलेस हो, ये प्रयास किया जा रहा है। ये सामान्य भारतीय के लिए, सामान्य हिंदुस्तानी के लिए ईज ऑफ लिविंग सुनिश्चित करने वाला है। मुझे खुशी है कि रेलवे के अनेकों प्रोजेक्ट्स को इसी तरह गति शक्ति नेशनल मास्टर प्लान से जोड़ा जा रहा है। एक जमाना था जब रेलवे के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट को भी ड्राइंग बोर्ड से जमीन पर उतरने में ही सालों साल लग जाते थे। मैं हर महीना प्रगति कार्यक्रम में रिव्यू करता हूँ कि कौन सा प्रोजेक्ट कहाँ पहुंचा। आप हैरान हो जाएंगे, मेरे सामने रेलवे के कुछ प्रोजेक्ट ऐसे आए तो 35-40 साल पहले कोशिश हो चुके थे, लेकिन कागज पर लकीर भी नहीं बनाई। 40 साल हो गए। अब क्या ये काम भी मुझे करना पड़ रहा है, मैं करूंगा, आपको भरोसा देता हूं। आज के रेलवे में भी जितनी अधीरता नए प्रोजेक्ट्स की प्लानिंग की है, उतनी ही गंभीरता उनको समय पर पूरा करने की भी है।
मध्य प्रदेश का पहला और देश का दूसरा विश्व स्तरीय रेलवे स्टेशन रानी कमलापति रेलवे स्टेशन। एयरपोर्ट की तर्ज पर बने इस स्टेशन में है नेचुरल लाइट और वेंटिलेशन वाला विशाल एयर कॉन्कोर्स और मनमोहक ग्लास फसाद वाला 36 मीटर ऊंचा टर्मिनल, वेटिंग लाउंज, एसी डॉर्मेट्री, एसी रिटायरिंग रूम, वीआईपी लाउंज, cafeteria, retail shop, lift, escalator, travelator, ramp, modern platform, cover shed और पार्किंग जैसी सुविधाओं से बढ़ रही है स्टेशन की उपयोगिता। 5 स्टार GEM रेटिंग वाले इस ग्रीन स्टेशन पर है सीसीटीवी कैमरा, फ्री वाईफाई, आधुनिक यात्री सूचना प्रणाली, केंद्रीकृत SCADA कंट्रोल रूम और मॉडर्न फायर फाइटिंग सिस्टम। भविष्य में इसी स्टेशन पर होगा भोपाल मेट्रो और बस कॉरिडोर का एकीकरण और इस स्टेशन कॉम्प्लेक्स में कमर्शियल बिल्डिंग, मॉल, हॉस्पिटल और होटल। इन सारी सुविधाओं से बच्चे हो या महिलाएं, बुजुर्ग हो या बिजनेस यात्री, पारिवारिक सफर पर निकला परिवार हो या कोई भी पैसेंजर, हर किसी को मिलेगा यहाँ मॉडर्न एटमॉस्फेयर, शॉपिंग का अनुभव, एंटरटेनमेंट के भिन्न भिन्न विकल्प, सुरक्षा, आरोग्य सेवा, आधुनिक प्रतीक्षालय, गुणवत्ता युक्त और स्वादिष्ट आहार का आनंद।
So that was quite a comprehensive narration by our Honorable Prime Minister about the future of station redevelopment. And he has very well, pointed out the basic features of this redevelopment Rani Kamlapati railway station. So that's what you have seen here is the final product. Looks very glamorous, all spanning thing. To reach that stage, we and our team has struggled a lot. And I'm happy that architect Manoj Sharma is here. And for any project, or any redevelopment project, land is a very important feature. There were some issues. I request Mr. Manoj Sharma to narrate those issues and how it was solved, then I will proceed further. Because that is the basic, that is the basic requirement where this project was fumbling. And architect Manoj Sharma has actually cleared those issues because of his, the knowledge, the cloud and his connection. So I request Mr. Manoj Sharma to kindly briefly narrate that and then we shall proceed further.
जब ये प्रोजेक्ट बन रहा था तो आई यूज्ड टू मीट DRM ऑलमोस्ट एवरी यूज्ड टू कॉल बिफोर टू स्टैंड वगैरह। एक दिन मैंने ऐसे ही उनसे पूछा, सर ये जो लैंड है जो आप बिल्डर को देने की बात कर रहे हैं, प्रिपेयर्ड ऑल द डॉक्यूमेंट्स और ये कंडीशन ये वाई वाज इन्वॉल्वड एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स वर देयर। तो मैंने उनसे पूछा कि इसमें कोई रट्टा तो नहीं है लैंड, मुझे लगता है कि आपका गवर्नमेंट लैंड, मैंने सर सबसे ज्यादा रट्टे गवर्नमेंट लैंड नहीं होते। उन्होंने कहा इंजीनियर थे तो बुलाया सीनियर टीए कोऑर्डिनेशन। उनसे पूछा, राजेश ये शर्मा जी पूछ रहे हैं कि इसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं है लैंड? तो मुझे आज भी उनकी जो फेशियल एक्सप्रेशन थे ना, कहते हैं ना, आंखें फाट गई। तो क्या है कि उनके साथ फाइल की वाली 237 करोड़ रुपए मध्य प्रदेश शासन ने रेलवे के ऊपर लेन बना। 1983 में जब ये डिवीजन फॉर्म हो रही थी, एमपी गवर्नमेंट ने 128 एकड़ लैंड रेलवे को दी। उसमें अब रेलवे को लैंड मिल गई, उन्होंने बढ़िया एक तरफ स्टेशन बना दिया, उधर कॉलोनी बना ली, उधर डीआरएम ऑफिस बना लिया, बाउंड्री वॉल बनाई और काम चालू ना, उसका नामकरण कराया। वो मतलब सरप्राइजिंगली दैट लैंड वाज इन द नेम ऑफ भोपाल यूनिवर्सिटी, मतलब बरकतुल्ला भी नहीं था, भोपाल यूनिवर्सिटी के नाम से लैंड थी, कोई फरीदा जी के नाम से, मतलब टोटल लैंड वाज इन डिफरेंट नेम्स, कोई किसी के नाम से, कोई किसी के नाम, वेदर इसको आप बिल्डर को दोगे। बट फॉर्चुनेटली वी हैड वन इसमें राजेश चतुर्वेदी, he was principal secretary of revenue section, he was very cooperative। यदि गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे मतलब आज ये जो स्टेशन खड़ा है वो सिर्फ बंदर भवन के कॉर्पोरेशन की वजह से खड़ा है, नहीं तो ये स्टेशन नहीं बन सकता। एंड मतलब ये 5 स्टेशन एक ही लिस्ट में ममता बनर्जी ने 2008 की जो स्पीच हुई थी, तो उसमें शी हैड डिक्लेयर्ड 5 स्टेशंस इन वन ऑर्डर। तो दिस इज द ओनली स्टेशन दैट हैज बीन कम्युनिकेटेड, बाकी के 4 शुरू ही नहीं हुए बिकॉज ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट इश्यूज, कहीं लैंड की प्रॉब्लम, कहीं कुछ। तो इन लोगों ने प्रिंसिपल सेक्रेटरी रेवेन्यू ने विद इन 6 मंथ्स सारी प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉर्ट आउट करके एंड लैंड वाज ट्रांसफर्ड टू रेलवे, बिकॉज आई इंसिस्टेड, मैं कहता हूँ ये लीज नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि ये जो इतना बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट आज जो फेल हो रहा है गैमन इंडिया का, वो इसी वजह से हुआ कि गवर्नमेंट ने लैंड दी हाउसिंग बोर्ड को लीज पे, और हाउसिंग बोर्ड ने लैंड दी गैमन इंडिया को सब लीज पे, उसके बाद कुछ नहीं, सब लीज नहीं होती। तो आज कोई बैंक फाइनेंस नहीं कर रहा, क्योंकि दैट मैन हु इज बाइंग दिस लैंड, दिस ऑफिस और दिस फ्लैट, he cannot hypothecate it with the banks, क्योंकि वो the legal owner is housing board, not Gaiman India. So I made this specific requirement and request with the chief secretary at that time. तो उन्होंने फिर they took it seriously and then they had transferred the land in the name of railways, so that railway can give to lease to anybody. Because now railways have given the land to Bansal Pathways on lease, and Bansal Pathways is giving on sublease to whoever is going to buy. So land issue was really very very serious affair, जिसके ऊपर किसी ने ध्यान ही नहीं, मतलब 1983 से 2016 almost 35 years nobody is bothered. Government में मतलब 11 DRM चेंज हो गए इस ड्यूरेशन में, nobody bothered कि ये मतलब क्या है। So land was of course yes, it was an important issue, but it has nothing to do with the technical part, with the things that these people have done। मतलब मैं अभी सबको यही बता रहा हूँ कि before doing this project हम लोग सिविल इंजीनियरिंग को बहुत लाइटली लेते थे। आर्किटेक्चर एक सिविल इंजीनियरिंग वेरी लाइटली, और जब ये काम हम लोगों ने किया तब समझ में आया कि what really engineering and this man has done wonders and his team। मतलब ऊपर से ट्रेन जाके नीचे टनल बनाओ और फॉर्मल he will show you all those things। So of course the major credit goes to the civil engineer and the construction team, course, the architecture was high and prepared the master planning and the traffic movements. But उसमें बहुत it was a good attempt, but the main thing was the construction technologies that they have adopted and how they have done the project is something new.
Thank you, sir. All said and done, had it not been the clearance of land, this project could not have shown the day of the light. And there was a specific question that what were those another railway stations that were named for redevelopment in the first phase by then Railway Minister Mamta Banerjee ji. That was Habibganj, Chandigarh, Shivajinagar, Pune, Bijwasan, and one more was Anand Vihar. Habibganj was the only station where the land could be cleared for construction. Chandigarh had its own issue with the Le Corbusier Chandigarh redevelopment plan, which says that no commercial activity can take within 200 meters of railway station. So whatever land was available was within the 200 meters in the railway station, so that project could not take it. The land of Shivajinagar, Pune was leased out to local municipal corporation for 99 years, and what the area proposed for commercial redevelopment was falling into that leased area, which municipal corporation refused to give it back, so that project could not take up. Bijwasan and Anand Vihar. Anand Vihar had some land issues with DDA. The railway which claims that this is our land, actually that was with DDA and that was not transferred. The issue was the same. It was allocated but it was never transferred. Here also I would like to mention that the lease demand was 236 crores. With that lease demand and railway saying that this project was not viable. Actually that lease amount was reduced to 2 crores. That was because of the efforts of this gentleman actually. So it initially started with the efforts of Mr. Manoj Sharma only, because local department did this redevelopment. So that is a good thing he has done for our city actually, because there were 4 other total 5 stations were there, and this could see the day of the light. Now I'll try to present another video. Which is made by an agency. Those who were interested in it was during the intermediate phase of the project. So we'll see at different photographs and videographs which will stop in between, and we'll discuss that. And I request everyone to participate and ask lots of questions actually, because I would like to share all my experience which we have gathered for so many years.
मैं हबीबगंज स्टेशन, भोपाल शहर का दूसरा लेकिन व्यस्त रेलवे स्टेशन, मुझे हबीबगंज उपनगर में बनाया गया। वो जगह जो भोपाल की बेगम को सबसे ज्यादा पसंद थी, तभी उन्होंने इसका नाम हबीबगंज रखा। हबीब मतलब सबसे प्यारा, और यहीं से एक सोच का जन्म हुआ। सोच हबीबगंज रेलवे स्टेशन को भारत का सबसे प्यारा, तकनीकी रूप से सबसे सक्षम और सुविधाओं के मामले में सबसे उत्तम रेलवे स्टेशन बनाने की। इस सोच के तहत मैं भारत का पहला पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप में ISO सर्टिफाइड प्राइवेट रेलवे स्टेशन बना, और इसी सोच के तहत मुझे जर्मनी के हाइडेलबर्ग रेलवे स्टेशन जैसा रूप दिया जा रहा है।
14 जुलाई 2016 भारतीय रेल का एक ऐतिहासिक दिन, जिस दिन पहला अनुबंध भारतीय रेल ने किया द्वारा हिंदुस्तान का पहला पीपीपी मॉडल प्रोजेक्ट हबीबगंज रेलवे स्टेशन का आधुनिकीकरण के लिए 2016 के बाद से आज तक काफी परिवर्तन हुआ है। इस स्टेशन में निर्माणाधीन है और ये जुलाई 2021 में पूर्ण होने की संभावना है।
मैं हबीबगंज रेलवे स्टेशन जल्द मेरा निर्माण कार्य पूरा होते ही मैं आपको पहले से बेहतर और सुंदर दिखूंगा। मेरे परिसर में वर्ल्ड क्लास खूबियां होंगी। होटल से लेकर स्पा तक मैं हर आधुनिक सुख सुविधाओं की तकनीकों से परिपूर्ण रहूंगा। हाँ, बिल्कुल किसी आलीशान एयरपोर्ट जैसा, जहां यात्री सफर से पहले आराम के सही मायने को महसूस कर पाते हैं।
जो बहुत ज़्यादा पुअर हैं या जो जिनकी स्पेंडिंग कैपेसिटी बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं है, उनके लिए भी कोई ऐसी डरने की बात नहीं है, क्योंकि जो प्योरली बेसिक रेल ट्रैवल है उसके जो फेयर्स हैं या जो भी उसके भी जो भी चार्जेस हैं वो तो वही रहने वाले हैं। जैसे किसी आम स्टेशन से अगर आप बोर्ड करें, फॉर एग्जाम्पल भोपाल से या बीना से या इटारसी से आप बोर्ड करें, तब भी जो चार्जेस वहाँ लगने वाले हैं वही यहाँ लगेंगे। जो भी अच्छी सुविधाएँ देंगे वो ऑप्शनल है, अगर हम चाहें तो वो उनको अवेल करें, ना चाहें तो ना करें। इसलिए ऐसा कोई डर मन में रखने की कोई जरूरत नहीं। रेलवे कोई एक्स्ट्रा चार्ज नहीं करने वाले।
मेरी पुनर्विकास परियोजना के तहत यात्रियों के लिए प्रवेश और निकासी के रास्ते अलग अलग होंगे ताकि भीड़ भाड़ ना हो। सफर खत्म करके लौट रहे यात्रियों के लिए सबवे की सुविधा होगी।
प्लेटफॉर्म नंबर 2 और 3 से ये बैंक सबवे को जोड़ता है। अब हम हैं सबवे के अंदर। ये सबवे जो है इसका निर्माण 12 चलती हुई लाइनों के नीचे से किया गया है। इसके निर्माण के दौरान कभी भी ट्रेन नहीं रोकी गई, ना ही यात्रियों को कोई परेशानी हुई। इस सबवे के निर्माण की चुनौतियों को बखूबी हमारी टीम ने जो है अंजाम दिया है। आप ये देखिए, ये जो डक्ट्स है यहाँ पे, ये एयर वेंटिलेशन डक्ट है। इसमें से जो है ताजी हवा जो है हमेशा सबवे में आती रहेगी। फायर फाइटिंग सिस्टम है लाल वाले पाइप के द्वारा, और ये जो हरे पाइप हैं ये एंटी फ्लड सिस्टम है। तो इन पाइप से अगर कभी भी फ्लडिंग होती है सबवे के अंदर तो कभी भी पानी नहीं भरेगा।
इसके साथ ही एक 3 महला न्यू स्टेशन बिल्डिंग भी बनकर तैयार होगी। सफर से पहले यात्रियों के लिए एरियल कॉन्कोर्स पे लाउंजेस, कॉफी शॉप्स, ईटरीज, सैलून्स की भी सुविधाएं उपलब्ध होंगी।
देखिए, भोपाल की स्काईलाइन तो इससे डेफिनेटली बदलने वाली है, बिकॉज आप देख रहे हैं कि भव्य इमारत वहाँ पे जो एरियल कॉन्कोर्स है वो तैयार हो रहा है, तैयार हो चुका है।
हबीबगंज स्टेशन अभी डेवलप हो रहा है। रीडेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट है ये। रीडेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट का जो सार है, जो इसका सेंट्रल आइडिया है, वो ये है कि यहाँ पे पैसेंजर सेग्रीगेशन करना है। मतलब कि जो पैसेंजर ट्रेन से उतर रहा है और जो पैसेंजर ट्रेन का वेट कर रहा है, उनका आपस में इंटरेक्शन कम से कम। और जिनको ट्रेन पकड़नी है वो दोनों टर्मिनल बिल्डिंग्स, वेस्ट साइड में एक नई टर्मिनल बिल्डिंग बना रहे हैं, ईस्ट में मॉडिफाई किया है, उसमें आएंगे। एस्केलेटर के द्वारा जो है वो एयर कॉन्कोर्स पे आएंगे, वहां इंतजार करेंगे। एयर कॉन्कोर्स पे जो है करीब करीब एयरपोर्ट की तर्ज पे जो सुविधाएं होती हैं वो दी जाएंगी। प्लेटफॉर्म पे भी उसी तरह का अरेंजमेंट रहेगा, पर उद्देश्य यह है कि प्लेटफॉर्म पे पैसेंजर कम से कम समय पर रहे, ताकि जो है भीड़ भाड़ ना हो वहां पे। पहले हबीबगंज अगर आप देखेंगे पुराना स्टेशन हबीबगंज, उसमें जो प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं वो पूरी तरह से कवर्ड नहीं थे। रीडेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट में सारे प्लेटफॉर्म्स जो हैं वो कवर किए गए हैं। सबसे बड़ा जो चैलेंज था हमारी टीम के लिए और मेरे लिए वो ये था कि कोई दुर्घटना ना हो जिससे कि ट्रेन को कोई हानि पहुंचे या यात्री को कोई हानि पहुंचे। और अभी तक हमारी टीम द्वारा सफलतापूर्वक हम इस स्टेज पे पहुंच गए कि ये काम पूर्ण होने वाला है। अभी तक इस तरह की कोई घटना नहीं हुई है।
मेरे ठाने की और भी कई वजह है। मैं भारत का पहला ऐसा स्टेशन हूँ जो PPP मॉडल यानी पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप मॉडल के अंतर्गत तैयार होने वाला है। मेरे पुनर्विकास के लिए भारतीय रेलवे स्टेशन विकास कॉर्पोरेशन और प्राइवेट डेवलपर बंसल ग्रुप ने साथ में कॉन्ट्रैक्ट साइन किया है और अब उसी के तहत मेरा आधुनिकीकरण हो रहा है।
है ये पीपीपी मॉडल है। इसमें जो है रेलवे को किसी भी तरह का निर्माण के लिए भुगतान नहीं करना है। सारा पैसा जो है डेवलपर का इन्वेस्टमेंट है, उसके बदले में उसको कमर्शियल स्पेसेस के लीज राइट्स मिले हुए हैं।
जब भी हम पहली बार कभी इस तरह का काम करते हैं तो वो एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज होता है, क्योंकि हमने हमारे सामने कोई एक्सपीरियंस नहीं, प्रेसिडेंस नहीं है कि पहले ऐसा हुआ था, तो अब हम उससे सीख के और दुरुस्त कर लें और अच्छे से काम करें, कम समय में या ज़्यादा एफिशिएंटली वो काम कर लें। तो फर्स्ट टाइम इज ऑलवेज द मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट। इसलिए उस नज़रिए से अगर देखा जाएगा तो मुझे लगता है कि सभी लोग अप्रिशिएट करेंगे कि एक चलते हुए स्टेशन, जो कि एक बहुत बड़ा स्टेशन नहीं था, तो फैसिलिटीज वाइज कोई बहुत बड़ा स्टेशन नहीं था, उसको इतने टाइम्स मैग्नीफाई करके और एक अच्छा टर्मिनस स्टेशन बनाना और अच्छे दर्जे का स्टेशन बनाना, उसको की फैसिलिटी उसमें प्रोवाइड करना, ये सारी चीज़ें अगर इस नज़रिए से हम देखें कि ये पहली बार भारत में शुरू हुआ तो सभी लोग अप्रिशिएट करेंगे।
मैं हबीबगंज रेलवे स्टेशन, भारत का पहला अल्ट्रा मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड क्लास रेलवे स्टेशन, भोपाल का नया इतिहास लिखने के लिए तैयार हूँ।
One thing I would like to emphasize today, क्योंकि आज पॉसिबिलिटी सर भी हमारे साथ है पार्टी बिल्डिंग में, ये जो COP हमने प्लेटफॉर्म से बनाया है, जो कैनोपी जिसको बोलते हैं, पूरा यहाँ फुल लेंथ की कैनोपी बनी है, इसको जो ऊपर से हैंग कराया है मैंने, वो सरकारी कि मतलब हम ट्रस्ट को, द आइडिया वाज टू मेक इट बर्ड फ्री। अदरवाइज क्या होता है कि आप बहुत सारे स्टेशनों पे देखेंगे कि ट्रसेज रहती है, उसके ऊपर कबूतर अब दुनिया भर के और ट्वीट कर रहे हैं और सब वो सब हो रहा है। तो मैंने एक बार सर से ऐसे डिस्कस किया था, मैं सर को ऊपर से हैंग कराना हो, देन ही टोल्ड मी कि इसको फिर हिंज एक्शन करके इस तरह से इसको किया जा सकता है। देन वाज आई थॉट इट इज पॉसिबल, तो वो सर ने हम मेरे को मतलब उसके लिए हिम्मत दी थी पहली बार।
This video has given you a fair idea about the project. I mean, what the PPP model is. There was a question that what is the lease period for this project? Somebody asked me, I heard. Lease period is 45 years from the date of signing of the agreement. And after 45 years, the first right of refusal shall be with the developer. There will be more tenders, there will be more bidding. So the existing, developer has to match that. In case he does not match that, then the highest bidder will get further lease rights with further redevelopment. There are a scope of further redevelopment. This is phase 1 of redevelopment. What we have seen is just a phase 1. Actually, this will have a 2-tier air concourse at the end of the day with full width of 60 meters, which is now 36 meters. So I would like to, highlight the two things. First was, as mentioned by the then DRM Mr. Uday Bolwalkar, that there was no precedence of any such redevelopment. And because it is a running station, it is a brownfield station, and there was requirement, pressing requirement from the authorities, our nodal agency, IRSTC, that is Indian Railway Station Development Corporation, to submit methodologies and sequencing of the construction. Because this air concourse which you see was at the exact alignment of existing foot over bridge.
So to create that new air concourse or the extra wide footwear bridge, we have to do away with the existing footwear bridge. So we did not remove it day number one, because then how the passengers will travel or walk from one platform to another. So they were provision of subway also. So our sequencing was first to create those two subways below the running lines. We have got 12 running lines in Bhopal yard, and we have created two subways, at two alignments. So we had to cross those running lines at 24 locations. Not a single location, but 24 locations without employing the train operations. So for that we have used restricted height girders. We have purchased 24 girders, which is also a landmark in history of Indian Railway, because even the zonal railway does not hold more than 4 RH girders at a given time. And when we placed order for 24 RH girders, so the vendor was surprised. Actually, he thought that it is some kind of hoax, or I am some fraud who's trying to extract something out of them. So then I have to refer him to the CEO of Indian Railway Station Development Corporation to make him understand, to gain his confidence that actually we require 24 RH girders, which we purchased at that time at the cost of some 8 or 9 crores. So that was one landmark which we have achieved. The most important thing, the most challenging thing which I foresee and which I took it as a personal challenge, that no accident should happen at site. No damage to the owner's surrounding property, no damage to the train operations, no hampering, and no injuries to the passengers using at the time of construction and our workers. And we have achieved actually zero accident manner throughout the project, which I consider as my achievement actually. Yes, because this is a model station. Now, yes, those RH girders are basically RDSO approved girders only. So we never went in for anything which is beyond that specifications. So RH girder, what we have used, that is 21 meters, 45 tons for 25 metric ton of axle load, is RDSO design only. For air concourse, we had to use girders which we got our design approved from RDSO, and they were, quite proactive in clearing those designs. And I'll just go back to the video and go to make it still somewhere.
पहले वही यहाँ लगे
विकास परियोजना
सबसे बड़ा जो चैलेंज था
प्राइवेट पार्टीशन
सारा पैसा
होटल से लेकर स्पॉन्सर जल और सुंदर दिखती मेरे परिसर में वर्ल्ड क्लास स्टूडियो थी होटल से लेकर स्पॉन्सर में हर आधुनिक सुविधाओं तकनीकों से परिपूर्ण हुआ। हाँ बिल्कुल नहीं कर पाते होटल से लेकर
पूरा जुलाई 2016
विकास करिए
12 चलती हुई लाइनों के नीचे से किया गया। This is where we have created a tunnel below the running lines, below all those 14 lines. So this was the biggest challenge for us. You can see that we have reached the platforms, because when our alignment goes across the yard, so we went in for a tunnel. So we created a ditch almost, the depth is, from platform, this depth is 7 meters, 21 feet basically, 22 feet. And we have built the platforms also. So we ingeniously designed platform bridges also. And we placed it, but then there was a requirement to get it approved from RDSO again. So we designed, we at a site we designed and we got it checked that it was sufficient. But then RDS approval was required and we had already placed those. So there was a gap of almost 15 days, wherein we had to place a safety in charge not for passengers to use those bridges basically. That was the mandatory requirement. Statutory rather, but we were confident of our design. But still, RDSO played a major role, but they approved it within 15 days time. So this was one challenge. Yes. We were lucky enough not to have much water there, but we got flooded. There were a lot of, so we had used anti-flood pumps there. There is an agency in Bhopal itself. His name is Rani Kamlapati. Some agency is there. They are into flood control from hydropower system. When it gets flooded, they are the agency that provide anti-flooding pump to almost all the hydropower stations in India. He happens to be my friend. So when I got stuck here, I asked for his services and luckily four of his firms were just returned from his scheme. So we deployed it here. There was a time during monsoon that this entire area got flooded and there were dangers to the track. And DRM and safety team of railway was after me to get it under control. So we actually continuously pumped out the flood for, I mean the stormwater for almost 6 days continuously to control it. इसके निर्माण के दौरान इसका जो साल है नई बिल्डिंग बना रहे हैं इसको मॉडिफाई किया है. This trusses which you see here, so these were the girders which we had placed for our air concourse without any mechanical crane system. That was all done manually. We had created a loading platform at this end, from where we have created a temporary bridge. I got a video of that also, I'll show it to you. And then we went in for side slew of all those girders. So after placement of girder, the biggest challenge was to place these trusses. I mean, from this height, this low height to this apex height is 15 meters. And there was, I mean, we could not devise any method to erect those. So we went into lot of deliberations, discussions. But I belong to the generation of engineer wherein we have evolved from the conventional classic method to modern method. So I got hold of very old erectors, those who are well versed with derrick erections. So we have used derricks to make erection for all these buses. So individually, I mean, it used to take 3 days to erect one truss. But then we had no other option to move any crane or anything there. So that was another challenge which we overcame. And third one was to erect these trusses here. उसमें आएंगे एक्सकेवेटर के द्वारा जो है वो एयर कंट्रोल में आएंगे यात्रियों को हानि पहुंचे. प्राइवेट So these were the two major challenges here to create underpasses or surface below the running lines and to create this 36 meter wide foot overbridge above the running line. Both required CRS permission also. That is Commissioner of Railway Safety. And Commissioner of Railway Safety is under Ministry of Aviation actually. So the railway authorities cannot influence that agency. So we got all those approvals. So if anybody has any question, I will discuss that. Then I will move further to the PPP population. We have got many actually videos, but that will take a lot of time. That was special. It is fire compliant. Fire safety, we have all the sprinklers in place, smoke detectors in place, and we have a dedicated fire tank along with all the norms what is required by NBC like jockey pumps and all. So that is a complete, wherever it is required, we have a sprinkler system with smoke detectors. Now, RSDC is dissolved actually. It is disbanded by Government of India. Indian Railway Station Development Corporation, which is responsible for the development of Gandhinagar Station and Aligarh, has been disbanded by the Government of India. Now, either the zonal railway or RLDA should take up the redevelopment was, that too under EPC mode. So now Aditganj has the unique distinction of being the only PPP model railway station in the country. Now we have now few stations are at tendering stage. I mean, Lucknow, Ghaziabad, Gaya, Egmore, Chennai, and Indore tenders are being invited. Jaipur tenders are being invited. Surat tenders are being invited. Bids has already been placed for Lucknow, Charbagh, Gaya, and Ghaziabad, Gwalior, and due date for Egmore, Chennai is some 18th of August. In another 26 stations are at bidding stage. So in phase 1, there are almost 46 stations that will start within next 6 months, but all under EPC model. So this is the only PPP model station. So now we'll come to what we have learned in the form of PowerPoint presentation. So integrated redevelopment of Indian Railways under PPP model. So this is the only station under PPP model. It is first of its kind in the history of Indian Railways where an integrated redevelopment work has been undertaken. I mean, no, because Indian Railway develops railway station in phased manner. Whenever they come up with a new station, greenfield, they create a building, small building, a platform. As the traffic increases, they create another platform, create foot overbridge, then make another building, then make some meeting halls, cafeteria, canteen. Here we have entirely redeveloped the station, Indian integrated mode, like platform upgradation, foot overbridges, subways. Everything we have created. It is a brownfield project that there was no precedence of any such redevelopment. So that was one of the challenges to create methodology and sequencing. We have indigenously devised all the construction sequencing and all. Here I would like to share a very interesting thing. The total time period was 36 months. With 6 months of design period, when we had to make your preliminary design, then definitive design, then good for construction design, get it approved. And you have to submit the methodology and sequencing for how you will proceed. So as there was no precedence, our team, I was leading that, we devised methodology, sequencing. We got it approved. But during construction, on-site construction, the entire thing was changed because whenever you reach the position the next morning, you encounter a very different scenario. So then you have to rethink your strategies and go ahead. And initially there was reluctance from railways, but then I made them understand and they understood that it is not possible to actually devise a methodology beforehand because there was no precedence and you have to tackle challenges on day-to-day basis. And this is the highlight in completion of construction, no accident occurred, no major hindrance happened to train operations, except for abnormal traffic blocks and speed restrictions, which I mean, we went into time over, we asked for a traffic block, wherein we need certain tracks to be closed for certain times. Maximum time allotted at any given time was 4 hours. We went up to almost 5.5 hours at some incidents, but fortunately not beyond that. So these were the major components
of integrated redevelopment construction of air concourse 36-meter wide, 2 subways, new waste terminal building, modified east building. We have covered the entire platform 100% wet free design. I mean, there is no place for birds to sit under deck. It's not that we are avoiding birds. Under deck sitting is not, I mean, there is no provision for under deck sitting. Over the deck, on the top they can enjoy, I mean, they can move around. Then 100% resurfacing of all the 5 numbers of platforms. I mean, Nitin has that different kind of flooring at different locations that was developed with the time. So we have redone the entire resurfacing integrated in a similar kind of thing. This is actually the master plan. This is what is your new air concourse. Here the width is 36 meters over the platform. Then yard line starts, so the width is 15 meters here. This is new west terminal building, 26 meters high. This east building to BHL, we have modified it. And these are the alignments of 2 subways. Then what you see in this main color is the commercial land allocated to the developer under PPP model in lieu of the investment made. So this is the basic master plan of that. And this yellow part is reserve land for phase 2, wherein this 36 meters shall become 60 meters throughout with a complete height of 36 meters. And in lieu of that, developer shall get these land parcels. These are for residential purpose. When the agreement was signed for this redevelopment project, there was no provision of residential development in the railway board laws. That has been amended afterwards, and then now this can take over. This can be developed. So this is what we have created a terminal building on the west side. These were the aerial pictures, how it looked earlier and how it looked afterwards. That was in December 21. So this is the sea change actually. Here you see this existing foot overbridge. This is the new foot overbridge or air concourse we have created on the same alignment. There was one more challenge. We had to break this ramp. There was ramps earlier. Again, the issue was how the passengers will traverse to different platforms. So we created temporary staircases on this side to break this ramp because we wanted to create subways and it was infringing with this alignment. So then again there was a big hue and cry from railways that you are actually degrading the passenger facility. You are removing a ramp, creating a staircase. Then there was an issue. Any time if you make alteration to any foot overbridge in railways, you have to seek CRS permission. So that was a big issue for me because of time constraint, because that is something which was never done earlier. I mean, dismantling an existing ramp and creating a new staircase in place of that. And you are connecting it with the bridge. So you have to take your entire design, entire system to understand of railway safety. So during a GM's visit, Mr. Girish Pillai was GM at that time. So he was reluctant to actually approve this. He said, why you divide a different method? This will take at least 6 months of your time. First he has approved. Then I came upon an idea. Why not leave a gap of 5 between bridge and staircase? 5 mm is negotiable by foot actually. So what I did, I never welded any part of my new staircase, temporary staircase with the bridge. And when I heard this idea in the meeting, review meeting at the evening, immediately I got the approval. So we saved at least 6 months there. That is another highlight. I mean, that was the extempore idea to save time and energy basically. This is how it looked like when we were at the peak of construction. I mean, I used to get the passenger feedback. I used to remove this card. So I used to then remove my helmet and go and stand with the passengers, those who were using the platform. during this time. So this was at the peak period. There was no shelter. You can see its alignment. You can see the boxes of subways. So it was a very dangerous situation actually at that time, and passengers actually suffered because we have removed the entire cover, and the platform surface was also badly damaged because of the movements of, I mean, this JCBs and hydras which we use for different constructions. So there were a lot of abuses from the passengers. I hope, because I tried to, I mean, gather the feedback. See, you might get idea from anywhere actually. So during my entire working was on the platforms only. So whenever there is a big gathering, I used to, I mean, hide my identity and go and discuss with them. So I got many ideas from the passenger users also. So these were the major activities during construction of subways. 24 RF girders were installed to cross 12 numbers of running line. And construction of temporary staircase, which I have mentioned, to dismantle existing ROP FOB lines. There were a lot of hidden cables, signal cables. That was one major issue. The railway yard has got many signal cables running underground. And the railway does not have any route map of that. I was not aware of that actually. Initially, when we started excavation for our west building, we actually damaged cables. The moment you damage a signal cable, the train stops. And it is mandatory for RAF to file an FIR. After we ventured into the site was handed over to us on March 2017. 15 March, first FIR was lodged against me. So intervention of DRM, I was not arrested. Then there was a joint committee to create a report. 3 days after that, at different location we damaged another signal cable. Another FIR was lodged. We are not responsible that. No, that was a fire incident. We never did anything there. No, that was an altogether different story. We can discuss it later. I was not involved in that. Then there used to be a review meeting at railway board every week. So after these 2 FIR, and it became a very big issue when the matter was reported to the railway board also. That time Mr. Rajiv Chaudhary was station director for station development. So I was at Baroda House, meeting was progressing. And the opening statement of Mr. Chaudhary was, "और केवल काट रहा है." So I requested, sir, please provide me the route diagram so that I can take some precautions. There were many senior officers from the railway board. They all started laughing. So it was like, I am already facing 2 FIRs. I asked for a simple help and they are laughing. I don't know why. They can see the question mark, that expression on my face. Then he explained that we also don't have any route diagram. The issue is, yard is very big area. And the signal cables run from junction box to junction box. In case of any mishap, nobody bothers to identify the damage. They just lay a new cable, whatever area is required, from one junction box to another. No, that is because of an amendment made in the Railway Act. No. That is a different story actually. This project could take up because of an amendment made in the Railway Act after 100 years. That railway land can be used for commercial purpose also. That was the first amendment. Then second amendment is that railway land can be used for residential purpose also. So these are the 2 landmark amendments made in the Railway Act
And when this amendment was made to the Railway Act, that railway land can be used for commercial purpose also. So budget notification was issued by Government of India, and then MP Bhumi Vikas Nigam also issued a gazette notification. That the interesting thing is the local authority has got no say over the railway line. I mean, we do not require any permission from Nagar Nigam for that. But we have to be in line with their norms actually. We cannot flout those norms, but concurrence is not required. That is another story which we also struggle with urban development here. That was another thing. So the cables, I mean, then we went in for cable identification process. That is how the archaeological department do they, I mean, cautiously digs. So we went in for cross-trenching. They engaged almost 60 laborers for 3 months to identify those cables. And we could identify almost 120 pairs of such signal cables. And when we were, I mean, we have to see whether they are actually live or not. So out of that 120 pairs, only 26 and 27 were live. The rest was all redundant. The rest of the cables were all redundant. So that has eaten up and that has consumed our 3 months of extra time in the labor force. So installation of temporary MS structural platform level bridges for movement of passenger over excavated platform surface, which we have breathed the platform, so we have used that. And this is the most challenging survey construction, that is during the construction and that is the finished survey. I mean, almost all the persons present here might have used that survey. Almost, I mean, 90% of those. So that's how it was created actually. On the left hand side, you can see the program. This is air concourse construction. Old foot overbridge and new foot overbridge. Then what major activities we took during the air concourse construction, that is temporary staircase, identification of underground utilities. The major was signal cables, traffic block, power block. So one survey was commissioned before dismantling the existing foot overbridge. So that was the requirement to, I mean, enable the smooth passenger movement. Then this was a temporary staircase on the right hand side which we created in lieu of the ramps were here. We have created this temporary structure for stowing of our girders for this bridge. And we have created this temporary staircase. The design of this temporary staircase has been adopted by Railway Board, where they want to put a staircase now in new stations. So they have adopted our design and RDS has approved this design for other stations also. So where they want to make permanent staircase. So this is how new terminal building looks like. These are all the details of escalators and travelators. And each building we have modified on PHA line. Then these are the amenities. We have created base kitchens also. Whatever stalls that shall come up on air concourse or platform, as cookings are not allowed. So we have created base kitchens. They can hire those kitchens and prepare their food, take it to the platforms of the air concourse level. This was initially how the station was. A very meager covered area. Now we have covered the entire platform end to end. This is how, I mean, these were the potential area of bird sitting and littering. So we have used that, I mean, fused structure wherein, I mean, the sheets sits directly on the column, leaving no gap in between. This is 9-meter cantilever on both sides because we hung it from the top. We have eliminated actually number of columns on the platform. Earlier there used to be 2 spans, we have used a single span. The circulation area we have used. And we have installed solar panels on top of those platform covers. That was a requirement of green building also. And these were the suggestions. Actually this was presentation made to
to me by the Import Authority, they wanted some suggestions. So the first suggestion was, they were, ONC, that electrical traction applies on the platform. So in new design, my suggestion is, why not take it to the platform columns only, so that we can have only the platform column, and your total for electrical overhead can rest on those columns. That was one suggestion. Then all geographical elements to be undertaken survey of that. Then this is very important, and geotechnical investigation. See, this new football of air concourse, the length is 150 meters, which appears at 3 platform locations, platform 1, 4, 5, and in between the yard lines. When we start digging, I could encounter different soil strata. So we went in for geotechnical investigation at the exact location of each field. And surprisingly, each location had a different swim bearing capacity at what they are on. It ranges from 125 to 20. So it is my suggestion to all the professionals, all the engineers, if you are making a structure which is load sensitive, highly load sensitive, it is better to have a intensive soil investigation. Don't interpolate or extrapolate. That's it for what we have done at Now coming to the main topic of the day, what we have achieved, how we went about it, what was the construction detailing. How this project was formulated actually. And it was said that it should be in the PPP model. So ISDC was a nodal agency formed in 2012 because Railways expresses capability that we don't have officers that we can dedicate it to the redevelopment project because it is a full-time project. So Indian Railway Station Development Corporation was formed in April 2012. It is a SPV of Tilpon and RA. So then they called for the tenders and they generated master plans. They asked for the bidding. So PPP project feature, we have no capital investment is made from the public, that is government. All done by a developer or a private entity. Government monetizes leverages its idle assets. That is more important actually for the PPP project. In case of Rani Kamlapati, the idle land bank around the station comprises the leverage, monetized. And basically the idea was to upgrade passenger amenities. So earlier the estimate was 350 crores. Wherein when ENY did the viability survey, they said that no, if somebody invests 350 crores and Habibul will not be able to recover his investment. So the project was scaled down, the mandatory cost was scaled down to 100 crores. Then 5 land parcels were allotted to developer, granting a right of to create almost 20 lakh square feet of commercial space, out of which 2 land parcels are already in the development. So this is major issue. Rest is all. If you want to formulate a PPP project, you should have end product in mind and what you want. Actually, I'll like to narrate a incident. 3 years back, SPA, when this project was halfway through, SPA Bhopal has organized seminar, 3-day seminar for Post and Telegraph Department about PPP project. I was one of the speakers there. I was invited by Professor who was the keynote speaker there, who was associate professor at IM in Law for strategic management studies. So during interaction, and Post and Telegraph holds the, after defense,
The railway holds the maximum land parcel. After that, post and telegraph holds. I mean, third is post and telegraph when it comes to the land holding. So they were asking that they want to go in for big project. They have got a lot of idle land. My question was, what do you want to improve? See, you have got land. I think you have got a potential money lying with you, and you want to use that. But where? And they asked me how it was used at Harijna. I said, like Harijna, amenities, they wanted to improve passenger amenities. Then they came up with the ideas that what is to be done to improve the passenger amenities. Then they arrived at a cost, and in lieu of that cost, the land was rebuilt. What do you want to improve? So they had no idea what improvement they are looking for actually. So you should have a clear idea of what you want to do actually, what you want to do. If you want to take up any PPP project, you should know what redevelopment, what upgradations are required. See, if you have money, you want to invest, but how and why? That is one important question. Then second point is what is where the upgradation is required. Then yes, you have to identify your assets, ideal assets, where you can leverage and monetize it. Then you have to understand the legal status of your holding basically. Like Harijna had that issue. Until unless you have a very clear-cut understanding of legal status of your asset, you must not proceed with any such kind of project. So this was how, master plan, outline master plan was created initially. This project formulation was done in two stages. First was done by the nodal agency RSDC. They hired agencies to make an outline master plan, then they devised invoice requirement, then project control points, then project design and construction requirement. That was, formulated by RSDC only, legal concern condition and complete agreement. What developer did? After we got the award, there was a requirement of financial closure of the entire project within 6 months. Then appointment of detailed design engineering consultant, because master plan was in place. But how to construct, how to go about it, how the detailing is to be done. That DD consultant was to be appointed by the consultant. Then developer has to appoint a peer review consultant for what you are designing, has to be proof checked and vetted by some other agency also. Then there was a requirement of approval of preliminary design, drawing followed by definitive design and good for construction design. Then formulation of construction sequencing methodologies along with block time and calculation. And appointment of green building consultant. So this was done by the RSDC. That was required from the developer. So outline master plan, stage 1 formulation, it was done by RSDC. So they appointed ICT Delhi and GMP Germany as their master plan consultant. Project control points in consultation with Ernst & Young were devised. Then invoice requirement was devised with the help of ICT GMP. Then again project design and construction was devised by ICT GMP. The legal terms and conditions of the agreement that was formulated by Mrs. Amarchand Mangaldas, that's the legal firm in Delhi. All these 3 consultants were hired by IRSDC for stage 1. The complete concession agreement was framed with input from 3 major consultants, that is ICT Delhi GMP for master plan and specifications. Feasibility study was done by Ernst & Young. And legal aspect was done by Amarchand Mangaldas. So that was stage 1 formulation of the project. Now, the cost, mandatory cost is 100 crores, commercial cost was envisaged at 347 crores. Total 447 crores with the project cost. So financial close was done for the entire project. Here the major challenge was, unlike airports, there was a clause that you cannot mortgage the railway land.
mortgaged. So other assets, other earnings was mortgaged. And there's a major difference between airport redevelopment and railway redevelopment. Railway land cannot be mortgaged. The best part with airport redevelopment was the day agreement was signed, the entire airport land that was accorded to the developer was mortgaged, but raised and work started. Here the story was different. Then another part of project formulation was appointment of detailed design engineering consultant. So AECOM we have hired, AECOM India office for detailed design engineering consultancy. There are very few consultants in India that can take up this kind of project, actually integrated development of railway stations. We have many consultants for metro and other, greenfield projects, but there are 4 or 5 only that can take up this kind of. One is Regis, one was this AECOM which we, then Balaji Center is one such agency. Then peer review consultants, Sterling Engineering was, Mumbai was our peer review consultant for engineering, Pankaj Bharkar was for MEP. Then we got this preliminary design, definitive design and good for construction design approved by RSDC. In consultation with RDSO wherever it was required. Then there was a requirement of green building rating, gold rating. So we got 5-star Gen rating by Gen Association. Then major was formulation of construction sequencing and methodologies which we have already discussed. Then predetermination, block time calculation of fire approvals. You need to submit your traffic block requirement and electrical block requirement to the railways beforehand, much beforehand. So that requires a lot of calculation and understanding. We do went into some time overruns. There was certain overruns on this block time calculation, but that was the most tedious part when it came to the strategic calculations. So that was it. That was the part 2. Then there was a major requirement. 2 or 3 things which I have never done before. There was a requirement of vibration analysis of all the structures within the vicinity. And there is no total provision in BIS for this vibration analysis. So there were some references to some American and Scandinavian total provision, but I could not find anybody who can think of that vibration analysis part. Somehow we could catch hold of this Mrs. Veneglas, that is USA-based company. They are only into vibration analysis, mitigation kind of thing. It is promoted by Mr. Mahavir Atwal, NRI, who I don't know, out of interest, or he wanted to come back to India, opened his office in Ludhiana. I got reference from some agency, so we hired Veneglas to undertake our vibration analysis. So once that analysis was made, they submitted us the report. But I never knew what to do with that report. Then I realized that there has to be some mitigation. There is some damage to the structure due to vibration that has to be taken care of. Then we went in for mitigation phase. Another contract was made for mitigation. Then there was a requirement in agreement that you see whenever you travel, walk on a footboard bridge, whenever a train moves or if there is crowd, you can always feel the vibration on that footboard bridge. But we are creating a footboard bridge which is 36 meters wide, where we will make almost 700 to 800 passengers set. If they started feeling that vibration, that will be a big psychological barrier. The fear will be there. So there was a requirement to mitigate that vibration that was getting transferred to the air control, and there was. So frequency of 16 hertz was to be mitigated. Then we had already done our peers, they were safe for that, but then it was transferring that vibration, and we had not done our air controls at that time. So there was a requirement. I asked Veneglas what is to be done.
they said that you have to provide anti-vibration isolation pads between your piers, the concrete and the steel part where your bridge rest pedestal. So I approached a lot of bridge bearing agencies, and it came to my knowledge that no agency in India manufactures vibration isolation pads. They manufacture bearings, bridge bearings, but they cannot mitigate that kind of vibration. Then we sourced it from GERP Berlin after much finding. So that is one thing which I have learned. Now a lot of agencies, lot of contractors also approach me because those who are doing. Now it is a thing with metro now. So Veniclassen is now is a common name in India, but we introduced them. Veniclassen and GERP is our finding. And because we purchased material and we hired them, their office in GERP's office in Bangalore now. Then there was a major challenge for identification and for sourcing of RH metal. We required 24 RH metals. That too from RDS approved vendors. There are few vendors in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, other parts. Our requirement was to get all the 23, 24 RH metals within a span of 3 months. They were committing to supply at only 2 RH metals in 3 months. So there was a big time gap. But HM and Ambala was one agency that supplied with zero accident work time, which we have already discussed. Then this is one interesting thing. M50 grade of concrete was to be used on the piers of pier contours, where you cannot take your transit mixture. You cannot take M50 concrete on pier. And we were sourcing cement from different vendors. And aggregate was also, they are getting from different sources. So we have created a lab. A lab was required, but then we hired experts and we did a lot of trials at site itself. And we use concrete pumps. We make the use of concrete pumps. We use foot-over pins to take our concrete line. We use drains to take our concrete line because you cannot cross a railway line just like that to reach that. So that was one very major challenge to pour M20 grade of concrete at platforms which is inaccessible actually. Hydroid you cannot take, it will take hours, and M50 grade of concrete you cannot do. So that was one great thing which we have learned from here. So that is my punchline, never give up, keep walking. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can discuss. हाँ बोलिए। But see, the best thing is in PPP model. That is a very good question. With the PPP